My beloved child, the time has come for you to stop diminishing your worth in the mirror of false judgments. It is time for you to no longer allow the voice of doubt to overshadow the truth about who you are, that you are a soul I have kept loved and chosen with great care. I have seen every tear fall silently upon your pillow in the long nights when no one was watching. You thought those tears were signs of weakness, marks of failure. But I tell you this, each tear is a powerful testimony of the extraordinary courage quietly taking root within you. Not everyone has the bravery to feel deeply, to fall and rise again. Not everyone is willing to embrace pain without letting it turn them bitter. But you are different. You have allowed your heart to be moved, to ache, to live in the fullness of the being I created you to be. And that does not make you small in my eyes. On the contrary, such honesty with your emotions is an act of courage, a sacred echo that resounds in the heavens, declaring that you still believe, still hope, and still cling tightly to my hand. The darkness. The enemy wants you to believe that pain is shame. He whispers that you should hide your tears, that you should cover the cracks in your soul. But my child, do not listen. Do not let such lies lock the door of your heart. Do not allow those threats to make you shrink back and refuse the healing I long to give you. The wounds you are trying to conceal are precisely the places I seek to touch. I do not reject them. I touch them with all the tenderness of a loving father, for it is there that I will restore, rebuild, and create something new and beautiful beyond your imagination. I need you to see this: your tears are not wasted. They are sacred pearls kept in heaven, silent prayers that rise to my throne. And I have heard, I have known, I have recorded every sob, every breaking of your heart, every moment when you felt you had no strength left to go on. You wonder where I was in those moments. I was right there, sitting beside your bed, holding your trembling soul, whispering, "You have never been lost. I still hold your hand. You do not have to be strong all the time. I do not love you because you always manage everything well or because you always appear fine. I love you in your weakest, messiest, most broken moments. I am not ashamed of the times you have fallen apart. I do not turn away when you cannot stand. In those very moments I draw closer to you than ever before. I am not afraid of the dark corners within you. I step into them with light and life, for I am not seeking perfection. I am seeking a willing heart, a soul that trusts a child who dares to be weak before their father. I am proud of you, not because you have overcome everything flawlessly, but because you did not give up when the easiest thing to do was to quit. You have fought not with the weapons of this world, but with quiet faithfulness, with patience in your tears, with a faith that held on even when it was only a fragile remnant. You chose to keep loving, to keep believing, to keep walking forward, and that causes heaven to rejoice. Now I want you to understand this. It is time to hide no longer. Do not run from yourself, from the broken pieces waiting to be healed. Do not pretend to be strong when your heart is crying out for help. Let me come in. Let me wipe your tears, not so that you stop crying, but so that you cry within the safety of my embrace. I do not reject you because you have fallen. I hold you so that you will never have to fall alone. My beloved child, if you could see yourself through my eyes, you would be amazed at what you have overcome. The long, silent days of wrestling with the weight of abandonment, the moments when you felt hidden in the crowd, the times you bowed your head in quiet sorrow, with no one knowing, none of it was meaningless. They are living proof that you have walked through fire without being consumed, that you have crossed deep waters without letting fear drown you. While the world may only see the surface, I, the one who searches the heart, have seen every hidden battle within your soul, and I declare this before all of heaven. As witness, you have gone farther than you ever thought you could. You did not triumph by power, by advantage, or by human support. You overcame by steadfastness, by unwavering patience, by a determination that refused to surrender when every door seemed closed, and this was not by accident. It is the strength I have given you, a strength steeped in grace, cultivated in stillness, and refined through pain. You did not prevail because you were stronger than others, but because you chose not to give up when giving up would have been the easiest path. When left in silence, you did not reject my promises. When unrecognized, you still held on to gratitude. When you thought you had nothing left, you rose again to keep moving forward. That steadfast presence, my child, is the greatest victory of all. I know there were times you felt as though you were walking in darkness with no one who cared, as if every effort fell into nothingness. But I was always there, never once taking my eyes off you. Every time you sank into exhaustion, I was there to lift you up. Every time you did not know which way to turn, I quietly lit your path. And whenever you believed you were utterly alone, it was I who held your soul in my embrace without your knowing. I have seen every unspoken loneliness, every moment you smiled while your heart wept. I have not only seen, I have preserved every tear, every act of faithfulness, every choice to keep going, and I have written them into my remembrance. Now I want you to grasp this great truth. The reward is coming, not an ordinary reward, but a divine recompense for every moment you refuse to let pain push you backward. Do you think I would let your endurance pass without my response? No, my child. Everything you have endured, every time you kept your heart pure in the midst of disappointment, every moment you chose to keep loving while wounded, all these have unlocked the gates to blessings that nothing can stop. This reward will not merely soothe your wounds. It will proclaim that you have triumphed gloriously. Those who once looked down on you will be astonished at the radiance I will pour over your life. Those who fail to see your worth will witness the glory with which I restore you. For I, the Lord, have seen it all, and I will never allow anything done for my name to be in vain. You have suffered, but it was not wasted. You have been hurt, but you have not been broken. You have been rejected, but you have never been excluded from my plan. The strength within you does not come from this world. It was not born from applause or the approval of others. It is a gift from me, the Almighty, who has laid my hand upon your life. This is why, even when you thought you would collapse, you still stood. Even when you nearly lost all sense of direction, you kept your heart intact. You have survived not because life was easy, but because my grace has covered you in every adversity. That is the true miracle. You are still here, still standing still, with a sound mind, even through storms that could have brought anyone else to ruin. And now I want you to hear this clearly. A new wind is coming. It is not like the winds you have known before. It carries the power of restoration, renewal, and increase beyond your understanding. The things you once carried out in weariness, the acts of faithfulness you performed while feeling weak, these will now be met with a fresh strength from heaven. Your faithfulness in the dark is opening the way to a harvest in the light. I will strengthen you not with your own strength, but with the power I have placed within you. My beloved, when the ground trembled with the unending cries of the world, the peddling of vanity, the sweet yet hollow promises, the paths glittering with artificial lights, you did not allow your heart to be swept away by that current. I saw it all. I saw the moment you quietly turned away from the noise, from the easy choices, and stepped into a land no one understood, a land of obedience and stillness. While others busied themselves chasing the voice of the world for approval, you sought my whisper, not loud, not flashy, but strong enough to stir the very depths of your soul. You did not choose the road most travel, even though it was paved with beauty and applause. You did not run after quick fixes to mask your unease. Instead, you chose to remain in the stillness where I could reach you most deeply. And it was there in the unseen and the misunderstood that I began to weave transformation. While the world praised the glittering and the grand, I praised the quiet endurance within you. I remember every moment you refused alluring yet misguided invitations, The promises of quick riches, the fleeting roads to fame, the false masks of success. Not because you were never tempted, not because you never wavered, but because you chose to look beyond what the eyes could see. You did not seek the flickering lights of the world, but the steady light that radiates from my very presence. Do you know not everyone has the courage to pause in a world rushing forward like a storm? Not everyone dares to say no to the call of the crowd, to choose to walk alone, following the voice of the invisible one. But you have done it. Without a bang, without fanfare, yet, in the quiet, you have stood firm, and that very choice has caused the heavens to break into song. The silence you chose was not an escape, but a deep surrender. You did not passively let go. You deliberately placed your hand in mine. While others raced to speak, to prove themselves, you chose to be still and listen for my voice. In a world that sees quietness as weakness, you have discovered it to be the greatest weapon, for in stillness you hear me clearly, and in my voice you find yourself. I know there were times when your heart wavered. There were long nights when you wondered if this path of quiet would lead you anywhere. There were days you longed for a word of affirmation, a hand on your shoulder, someone to tell you that you were on the right path. But in that emptiness, I was nearer to you than ever before. When no one else spoke, I spoke through my presence. By giving you peace that surpasses understanding, by comforting you with small yet sacred signs that only the sensitive in spirit would recognize. You do not realize that every time you say no to what does not come from me, you are saying yes to a far greater plan. Each time you turn away from the alluring call of the world, you are opening your heart to receive the greatness I have prepared. It is in those quiet refusals that you are writing a story, not one that seeks to please others, but one that brings glory to my name. I see too the struggles within you, the unspoken questions, the moments you feel alone in the crowd, adrift, even among the familiar. But my child, it is not because you have lost your way, but because you are stepping out of the old patterns. I am leading you to a place where no noise can drown out the truth. I am clearing the path so that I, myself, may teach you in ways the world cannot understand and cannot interfere with. Remember, you have not been abandoned, you have been chosen. And such choosing does not come to the hurried, but to those willing to wait. You have waited not in weary resignation, but in faith. And in that quiet waiting you have been shaped, refined, and prepared to carry what many long for but lack the patience to receive. I am doing a new thing. But for you to receive the new, you must be pruned from what is old. Your silence is the place where I begin cutting away what is excessive, what distracts, what no longer serves my eternal purpose. You are not merely avoiding what is wrong. You are partnering with me in the cleansing of your soul, becoming a vessel in the hands of the potter. And my child, it is your quiet choices that are shaking the spiritual realm. When you refuse what is easy, heaven opens paths no one has walked before. When you do not chase applause, I give you authority no one can steal. When you choose stillness, you are being positioned to speak words that can alter destinies, but only at the time I appoint. Beloved, in every moment, you walk through shadowed spaces. In every second, you wrestle with loneliness and unanswered questions. I see you. I know you have stood at the crossroads between hope and despair, where everything seemed wrapped in a thick fog that hid the way forward. I know you could have turned away, collapsed under the weight of sorrow, or let your heart harden under the layers of wounds. But you did not choose that path. Instead of letting pain consume you, you allowed it to become the plow, breaking up the hardened ground of your soul, so that from it a thirst for light rose stronger than ever before. The darkness did not destroy you. On the contrary, it made you long for me all the more. When every door seemed shut, when every dream turned to ashes, instead of closing your heart, you opened it wider for me to enter deeper. That unquenchable longing not only kept you alive, it is transforming you. It is making you into a new vessel, an instrument I can fill with life and light, not the shallow light that only grazes the surface, but the radiance that shines from the very places once most pressed and most wounded. And now, because you chose to keep walking when nothing was clear, because you believed when you felt nothing, because you kept reaching toward me when all seemed silent, a new strength is rising within you, a strength not rooted in emotion, not dependent on circumstance, but grounded in faith, forged through many silent battles. This is no longer the faith of a beginner, but the faith of a survivor, a faith that has not only heard the word, but has lived and died with it. And this faith is becoming a flame one that lights the way not only for you, but for those lost souls who are looking to you. My child, do not despise the scars you carry. They are not the marks of failure, as the world may assume. They are proof that you have lived, loved, believed, and overcome. These scars are sacred records of the battles you have fought with me, not where you were defeated, but where you were forged. And every time someone looks at you and wonders how you still stand, they are unknowingly touching a profound story, the story of a child who allowed the very Creator to lift them up from the ruins. I remember the nights when you said nothing, yet your heart screamed. I saw the silent tears on your pillow, the prayers unspoken, because your throat tightened under the weight of pain. Yet still you did not stop seeking me. You did not stop turning toward me as the only horizon left with light. You do not realize how that moved heaven. You did not hear it, but the angels stood at attention, not because you were flawless, but because you were steadfast. Not because you were strong, but because you clung to the mighty one when you were at your weakest. Now what I have prepared for you is not merely a reward for endurance, but an upgrade to the mission I entrusted to you from the very beginning. You are not just a survivor, you are an entrusted bearer. Entrusted to carry light into the very places that once plunged you into darkness. Entrusted to speak words of life to those who thought hope had run dry. Entrusted to become my echo, not an echo of lips, but of a soul reborn by my fire. Do not fear the next steps, even if they seem beyond your current ability. I do not call you to walk in your own strength. I am, and I will always be the one, carrying you into places you have never known. And the wonder is this: because you let me sustain you, when you had no strength, now I will walk with you to sustain others. You do not walk alone. I do not merely accompany you, I lead you. And where I lead you will be the place where shattered dreams are pieced together by my hand, stronger, more beautiful, and more unshakable than ever before. You may not see it clearly now, but trust that what is being formed in the dark is more glorious than you can imagine. Like a seed that decays in the soil only to rise into a tree of life, you are being prepared to step into a harvest of souls. Not because you have done something great, but because you have allowed yourself to be the soil into which I have sown, and now the season of fruitfulness has come. You carry the marks of a journey many would not dare to take. Yet that very journey is what makes you shine like a lamp set on a hill. The words you speak from now on will not only comfort, they will heal. The actions you take will not simply be kindness, they will be reflections of my own mercy. And your presence will not merely be felt, it will be known as a place where heaven touches earth. So keep walking with gratitude and courage. You have not grown bitter. You have not given up. You have not turned away from the light. And because of this, I promise you will never again walk through darkness without me by your side. What lies ahead is not compensation, it is completion, the closing of an old chapter and the opening of a new one, filled with glory. No longer the one who endures you, are the one I have sent. My beloved, in the deepest place of your soul where no one else can reach, I have seen your unhidden sincerity, your unspoken wounds, and the silent longing you hold for me. In the midst of the world's noise, among the showy prayers and countless hollow rituals, you have chosen to walk with me in genuine, unadorned intimacy. That is not something anyone can imitate or memorize, nor is it something the mind or ceremony can produce. It is the fruit of the days when you were broken, kneeling in the quiet, pouring out your whole heart with no one to witness but me. I see it clearly, in the way you do not come to me out of obligation, but because you long to be near me. You do not come only to ask, but to be present. This is where our relationship is formed, not by your perfection, but by your sincere surrender. And in that very simplicity you have stepped into a place not everyone can enter, a living closeness with me. The one who created the heavens and the earth, yet listens to each tender beat of your heart. My child, do not stop what you are doing. Do not let changes in your pace of life, trials on the road, or unresolved disappointments cause you to pull back your heart. Keep on praying, not as a task to complete, but as your very breath. Pray not out of fear of what is bad, but out of trust in the good I am bringing forth. Let every tear that falls, every distant gaze in solitude, every sigh you thought was useless, become a pure offering placed upon the sacred altar. I receive them all, leaving nothing behind. And be assured of this: every time you open your heart, whether in a whispered word or a moment of silence, heaven leans in to listen. You do not need to polish your words, nor strive to persuade me. Your heart itself, when sincere, when broken, when daring to give everything, even when nothing seems left, is the loudest voice of all. You are not weak when you cry. You are strongest when you dare to weep before me, for in that moment you no longer rely on your own strength, but allow me to become your only refuge. You may think some prayers have been forgotten, that certain longings once burning in your heart have gone unanswered. But I want you to know not one prayer you have prayed has fallen to the ground in vain. The whispers you spoke in the night, the pleas you have forgotten because your heart grew weary, I have kept them intact. They have not disappeared. They are going ahead of you quietly, opening doors you cannot yet see, preparing the road you do not yet know you will walk. Those prayers you thought were weak are in truth mighty arrows loosed into the spiritual realm. They are breaking down unseen walls. They are softening hearts of stone. They are creating miracles in places your eyes cannot yet behold. Believe this, even when all around you seems silent. I am never silent toward you. I may not answer in the way you expect, but I always respond in the way you most need, in the right moment, at the right time, in the right place. I am working even when you cannot see it. And the beautiful truth is this: you are working with me, not through grand displays, but through quiet faith, not through triumphant victories, but through patient perseverance, not through loud shouts, but through earnest whispers in the stillness of the night. You do not realize that some walls have fallen because of your small prayers. Some souls have been saved because of the tears you once shed in intercession for them. And some doors I open for you today are the result of past petitions you thought were forgotten. Let the communion between you and me grow deeper each day, not by formula but by truthfulness. Do not try to pray well, simply pray real. Tell me about the smallest details as well as your greatest dreams. Share with me the sorrow you have hidden, and do not hesitate to tell me of your smallest joys. Nothing is insignificant in my eyes when it comes from the heart I love. I am giving you a sensitivity, not so you can predict everything, but so you can sense my presence, even in the smallest details. This is something the world cannot take from you. While others depend on outward signs, you are led by intimacy. While others need a thunderous voice, you are moved by my gentle whisper. This is the privilege of those who walk closely with me like you. And finally, remember, this prayer is never solitary. It is the invisible, yet powerful connection between your soul and heaven. Every time you speak, the heavens open. Every time you offer your heart, I pour out my grace. Every time you feel weak, my presence becomes all the more steadfast. And every time you choose to trust, I am doing something far beyond what you have asked or imagined. Continue on, my beloved. Pray not to check it off the list, but to draw closer. Bring to me the burdens you are aware of, and even those you do not yet realize you are carrying. For in every beat of prayer I am weaving a story, not only one that changes your circumstances, but one that transforms you from within. And when the appointed time comes, you will look back and see every prayer once whispered has become a firm step you stand upon today. You are not alone. I am always listening. And I am still at work for you. My beloved, in the very moment when every door seems still shut, when no clear sign is in sight, I am beginning to unfold something you never anticipated. Not because you pleaded out of worry, not because you pressured me with your laments, but because in the long stretch of silence, when you had nothing certain to cling to, you still chose to believe. That quiet, steady, and enduring faith was the loudest declaration in the spirit realm. You did not use your hands to force the timing. You did not seize your destiny through the haste of your own will. Instead, you placed everything in my hands, even when you did not understand what was unfolding. You could have rushed ahead, tried to control the outcome, but you did not. And in that surrender, I saw something precious, something not easily found in this hurried world, a faith deeply rooted, unmoved by fleeting emotions or prolonged delays. There are seasons when everything feels uncertain, no light, no map, no voice from heaven, only silence, only you and the quiet knocking of doubt upon your heart. Yet you remained. You did not walk away, you did not lose heart, you did not need dazzling proofs to confirm that I was still at work. That alone stirred heaven to move, because faith that does not rely on sight is rare, and it carries great power. And now, my child, quiet your heart. For I am not merely doing something new. I am bringing forth what only those steadfast in heart like you can hold. What is unfolding is not coincidence. It is not a stroke of random luck. It is the blossoming of seeds sown in secrecy of tears that have fallen like nourishment for the garden of your calling of prayers heard by no one but me. All of these, every moment you chose faithfulness with no guarantees, are converging into a season of unveiling. I know there were times you asked yourself, am I wasting my time? Perhaps you thought, does anyone even see what I have quietly endured? But you did not know. It was in the moments when no one saw that I saw most clearly. It was in the moments when no one understood that I understood most deeply. And because you have not lived to please people but to please me, your reward will not come from human hands but from mine, the hands that hold the universe and that are now tenderly arranging all things for you. I have held back the good for the appointed time, and that time is drawing near. What you are about to step into is not an unexpected miracle. It is the unveiling of something that has been quietly nurtured in the dark. Like a tender shoot growing beneath the soil, silently sending its roots deep, when it finally breaks through the surface, no one can deny the force of life within it. In the same way, what you are about to encounter is not coming merely to show, but to establish. It will not only touch you, it will transform you. This is the moment I release what had once been delayed, not because you demanded it, but because you have learned the precious lesson of waiting without complaint, worshiping instead. When you offered silence as obedience, when you chose not to act out of haste, I recorded that in the courts of heaven. And now I move not to repay an obligation, but because you are ready to receive. Prepare your heart, for what I am about to do will not only astonish you, but will silence those who once doubted you. Not so you may boast, not so you may exalt yourself, but so that my name may be glorified through your faithful life. While others chose to shine by their own strength, you chose to let me be the light. While others sought position through worldly wisdom, you waited for my leading. And that choice, though unseen, is shaping an eternal difference. What I am preparing is not merely a blessing, but a responsibility. Not merely an outcome, but a new season in which you will become a bearer of influence, not through power, but through deep humility. I am lifting you up, not so you may tower over others, but so you may bend lower toward them. What you have learned in the waiting will become the wisdom you share with wandering hearts. Your quiet moments will become an echo of hope for those on the verge of giving up. Remember, you are not the forgotten one, you are the kept one. You have not been delayed because you were unworthy, but because what I have been preparing required time to fully mature, and now the harvest is ready. It is time for what I have stored in the treasury of heaven to be brought into the light through you. You need not strive to prove anything. Your very presence will speak for itself, the presence of one who has waited, believed, and not fallen now, raised to carry the fulfillment of a long-held promise. So keep walking, not with the posture of one still waiting, but with the awareness that what was sown has ripened. Walk in humility, yet without hesitation. Move forward not by ambition, but by divine commissioning. And as you go, remember that all this is happening not because you did everything perfectly, but because you chose to remain in my presence, even when it meant being misunderstood, overlooked, or left behind. My beloved, I still recall vividly that moment you stood before what seemed like a threshold paved with gold, a rare opportunity many only dream of, a relationship that in the eyes of others appeared flawless. A wide, smooth road adorned with applause, praise, and the approval of the world. Everything about it seemed right. Every detail fit together as if it were a perfect arrangement. Those around you said, "This is it. This is what you've been waiting for. Take it." And you yourself thought, "Isn't this the answer to the years I have persevered, been faithful, and waited?" And then, in the midst of the noise of expectations, amid the sweet words of encouragement, between excitement and confusion, a gentle, yet unmistakable voice rose from the depths of your soul. A whisper that did not scold, did not rush, yet carried undeniable authority. Not this. And instead of being swept away by the glitter of illusions, you stopped. You chose to listen to what no one else could hear. You refused what the world would call an opportunity simply because you recognized that I was not in it. You cannot imagine how deeply that pleased me, for it was not an easy choice. You could have let your reason persuade you that all the signs made perfect sense. You could have allowed your heart, tired from longing, to lead you toward something that seemed sweet. You could have said yes out of weariness, out of exhaustion, out of frustration from waiting. But you chose differently. You chose to obey me, even when that meant letting go of what you once prayed for. At that meeting point between desire and my whisper, you revealed a faith that has matured, a faith no longer chasing after what merely looks like a blessing, but one that seeks my presence in every detail. You were not only after what I could give, you were after me. And my child, that is more precious than any offering. It was not passivity or fear, it was courage. Courage to let go of what seemed right in order to wait for what truly comes from heaven. I know that after that decision there were moments when you sat alone in the night feeling empty. I know there were times you turned away to hide your tears, wondering if you had missed something. But what you did not see was that in the realm of the Spirit, angels applauded you. For it is not easy for a person standing at a crossroads to choose the whisper over the applause. It is not easy to refuse something that satisfies an immediate desire for the sake of a call from the unseen. And yet you did. My child, not everything that appears fitting comes from me. Some things are designed to test your discernment. Some relationships are not wrong, but they are not aligned with the journey I am leading you on. Some paths are not corrupt, yet they veer away from the road toward the eternal purpose I have appointed for you. And it was the sharpness of your spirit, shaped through days of seeking of quiet faithfulness, that allowed you to hear my voice amid the most convincing appearances. You did not follow the loudest call. You did not choose what made you more comfortable. Instead, you chose what drew you closer to me. And because of that decision, I can entrust you with greater things. Not just blessings, but purpose. Not just temporary safety, but a mission with eternal impact. I want you to know that when you said no to what everyone else called right, you opened another door, a door only seen by souls who know how to wait for me. Turning down something enticing was not a loss. It was making room for what is right in timing, right in people, right in purpose, prepared by my hand. And it is coming not with noise, but with complete stillness. Just as I told you from the start, not this. Believe this, the things you turned away from in obedience to me will never become your regret. They will stand as sacred milestones marking your maturity in faith. One day, when you look back, you will see that this quiet decision altered the entire course of your life, not because it led to an easier road, but because it led to the truer one, the road where I walk with you. You may not be understood by everyone. They may think you are too strict, too reserved, too cautious. But you do not live for approval, you live to obey. And those who live to obey me will never lose their way, no matter how uncertain the road ahead may seem. What lies before you I have already prepared, and it carries within it a deep peace you have never known before. Not a fleeting excitement, but an inner assurance that says, "This is what I promised, and now you are ready to receive it." Keep walking in discernment and faithfulness. The decisions you make today, unseen, unpraised, are laying the foundation for a divine unveiling to come. And I will honor you not in the noise of the crowd, but in the quiet, where only those close to me can hear the sound of my footsteps drawing near. You did not realize that when you turned away from what seemed perfect, I began to set in motion a chain of events invisible to the natural eye. When you chose surrender, you did not lose anything. You activated a sacred movement that shook the spiritual realm. What you let go of for my sake became the very key that unlocked the door to your anointed destiny. No choice made out of love for me is ever wasted. Each one becomes a declaration before heaven that you live not to cling to what is good, but to guard what is right. And I have prepared the replacement not merely as an addition, but as an intentional arrangement, a clear reflection of my love and your trust. What you are about to receive is not the leftover portion after you declined the other. No, it is what I have kept hidden until the very moment you chose me over comfort, and then I opened the treasury to place it in your hands. I do not give what is equivalent, I give what is greater. Greater not only in form but in depth. Not only to fulfill a desire but to shape a destiny. Not only to satisfy an emotion but to nourish a soul. What I have prepared brings wholeness not by the world's measure, but according to the divine pattern designed specifically for the path you are walking. You have trusted me not because you saw everything clearly, but because you knew my plans are never shallow. And that very faith, the faith that chooses obedience without sight, is shifting the spiritual lineage you represent. This is not merely a personal choice. Every step taken in faith leaves an eternal imprint, opening the way for those who will come after you. For when one obeys, many are set free. When one is faithful in the dark, light breaks forth for an entire generation. You are not alone in what may seem like a quiet decision. The heavens have watched, angels have recorded, and I have determined that your faith will not only be tested but strengthened. Not only so you will stand firm, but so you will raise others up. What you refuse today will become the foundation for what I will build tomorrow. And when what I have planned arrives, you will know it was never by chance. It is the confirmation of everything you have held to, even through tears, through solitude, and in the silence where no one applauded. Listen to me, my child. Every tear you have shed in choosing to turn away from that other path, I have gathered each one. Every long night you have wondered whether you had made a mistake, I was present in every breath you took. And it was in those unseen moments that I engraved your name upon the palm of my hand. Not a single thing you have surrendered out of love for me will ever be wasted. Every step you have taken against the current, every time you have chosen to pause instead of stepping into what was comfortable, has drawn you closer to the great revelation I have prepared for your life. Do you know what moves my heart most in those quiet, courageous steps you have taken? It is when you let go of what seemed to be the most beautiful thing this life could offer, simply to take hold of something you had never seen, never fully understood yet believed came from me. You chose not to cling to what human eyes could see, but instead to exchange it for a journey that only faith could lead you through. And in doing so, you have not lost. You have opened the door to something immeasurably greater, something untouched by time, circumstance, or human reasoning. You have left behind things that once made your heart beat faster, perhaps dreams, relationships, or achievements that others called valuable. Yet I see clearly those things, though they once brought a fleeting light, could never contain the glory I have destined for you. You thought you were giving up something precious, but in truth you were making room for me to step in. And I, the one who formed you in your mother's womb, know exactly what is perfectly good for your soul. Therefore, in the very place where you thought you were losing, I have been preparing a sacred fullness you have never known before. I am not merely replacing what you have left behind, I am transforming it. I am enlarging your heart so it can hold what far surpasses your imagination. You have left behind what was good to step into what is better, and from there into what is best. You are not abandoned at a crossroads, nor wandering aimlessly through nameless turns. You are exactly where I have called you to be. And in the very moment you chose to trust me over your own emotions, I began to release within you a deep joy, one that does not come from circumstances, but from my presence in every breath you take. Through your surrender, you have created an empty space, a space the world cannot fill, but I will. I do not use old fragments to patch together what is broken. I make all things new. I will fill your heart with a joy that cannot be shaken, a peace that cannot be disturbed by storms, and a purpose you will clearly see, not merely to exist, but to live under my guidance in the radiance of my presence. You will no longer ask, "Who am I?" or "Why am I here?" For in this very walk you will begin to hear the answer resonate within your own soul. What you have traded away will not return, but you will not wish for it back. For what I am giving you will erase all regret. The tears of yesterday will be dried by new visions. The long nights without answers will be replaced by clarity from my very mouth. And the steps that once trembled with anxiety will stand firm when you understand that you are walking on ground I prepared for you before the foundations of the world. I do not promise that everything will always feel easy, but I assure you no step will be meaningless. No choice made in obedience will be forgotten, and no sacrifice of yours will be in vain. You have not walked alone. Every step you have taken has echoed in the halls of heaven. I see you. I smile when you choose me, even when what I promised has yet to appear. I rejoice that you have trusted me enough to let go, to move forward, and to open your heart to something new, something that may cause your hands to tremble, yet is precisely what I have prepared to transform your life forever. This is the moment you will see what I have prepared for you is not merely a reward, but a destiny. It is not simply for you to get through life, but to live it in fullness. Not merely to be healed, but to become a place of healing for others. Not merely to be comforted, but to become one who carries comfort into a world groaning in its misery. In the very things I am building, you will look back and realize if you had not let go, you would never have had the room to receive. You did not choose what was easy, but you chose what was right. And that right choice is opening the way to a new season. I am writing a new chapter in your life, a chapter whose ink is faith and whose paper is surrender. In it, every desire you have ever held will be seen through the light of eternity, not the urgency of the moment. And when that day comes, you will understand why I withheld certain things from your hands, not because I am stingy, but because my love for you is too deep to let you settle for anything half-hearted. Now, as you look back, know this: I have never forgotten a single moment of this journey. I remember every time you swallowed back tears in order to obey. Every time you chose what no one could see in exchange for a reward no one could understand. You may have felt alone, but you have never been forgotten. What you surrendered in the dark, I will reward in the light. What you gave up in secret, I will place in your hands openly. You have not been stepping backward, you have been carried closer. Walk forward in trust. For what I am about to pour out is not merely an answer but fulfillment. Not only what you need, but what you never dared to dream. I am not only the one to whom you surrender. I am the one who gives beyond measure. And I am doing it now, in the very moment you choose to trust. Right now, heaven is moving. Right now, what I have promised is drawing near. Because you have chosen me, I have chosen to reveal myself more deeply in your life. Be ready. Everything you have let go of has been replaced by me, not merely in equal measure, but in such surpassing abundance that you will no longer regret anything left behind. For what I have prepared for you is eternal. Do you know what moves my heart the most in this rushing, noisy world? It is not the loud echoes from lofty pulpits, nor the victories that make the world bow in admiration. It is the quiet moment when you, in the midst of wounds yet unhealed, chose to let go. No one saw. No one applauded, but I saw, and that moved heaven itself. When you stood between the choice of retaliation or forgiveness, between clinging to the pain or letting it drift away in the light of grace, you chose to release it. A letting go that made no noise, that required no justification or applause. But in that silence you performed a spiritual act of great power, something most of the world cannot comprehend, but which heaven has recorded in eternal script. I have seen you choose silence when misunderstood, seen you walk away from arguments you could have easily won. You chose not to cling to anger, not to let pain linger, not to allow the past to write your future, and that alone is the mark of a soul healed by my love, now becoming a source of healing for others. In a world where strength is often defined by hardness, by the ability to strike back, you have shown strength through gentleness. Not weakness, but the gentleness of one who has tasted deep sorrow yet refused to become a bringer of hurt. You have let love win, not a hollow love, but a love refined through the fire of trials. A love that has learned to forgive not just once, but 70 times 7, as I once taught. You chose not to respond with the same wound. You refused to let yourself become another link in the long chain of resentment and hurt. You said no to multiplying destruction, and instead you planted a seed of peace, and that seed, though small, carries within it the power to change the entire course of destiny. I have seen the tears you shed in silence, not as a sign of weakness, but because love has softened your heart toward things that should have made you grow hard. Who truly knows the battle you fought within? Who can understand the invisible cuts you carried when you chose not to retaliate, when you chose to keep walking forward? I know, and I remember every detail. I not only saw your actions, but I also saw the heart behind them. A heart no longer demanding justice by human standards, but trusting in my righteousness. A heart willing to let go of right and wrong in order to hold on to life. You may have thought you were merely enduring, but no, you were winning. And you were winning in a way that makes heaven rejoice, not because you defeated someone, but because you overcame yourself. You refused to let the past dictate your future, or let old wounds govern your new choices. That is what makes you a trustworthy vessel of grace, a place I can fill, and from which my healing can pour out to thirsty souls. You do not need to be the one with the loudest voice in the room. You do not need to be the one who is always right in every conversation. You have learned a profound truth. Real power is not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. And that power comes from the Holy Spirit, not from the flesh. When you choose gentleness, you are not weak. You are stronger than ever, for you are reflecting the nature of the one who saved you through his own meekness and humility. I chose you not because you were perfect, but because you were willing to be transformed. and the deepest transformation does not happen on grand stages or under bright lights. It happens in quiet, unseen choices, full of faith. Like the moment you forgave the one who broke you. Like the moment you stopped seeking human validation and began to live by the call of heaven. Understand this: every time you refuse to respond with the same pain, you are breaking a link in the chain that binds this world. And every time you choose love over hatred, you are laying the foundation for a life blessed beyond expectation. You are telling the world, not through words but through your very presence, that there is another way, a way of hope, healing, and life. You may not hear applause. No one may thank you for what you have done. But know this: I am watching. I am smiling. And heaven is singing. Because one person, just one, chose to let the light shine through instead of holding on to the darkness, and that person is you. You are living proof that mercy can exist in a cold world. You are the evidence that love can heal wounds once thought impossible to mend. And you are the place where I am working restoration, not only for you but through you, even for those who once hurt you. Continue walking in that spirit. For what I have begun in you, I will bring to completion. You will not only be one who is healed, you will become one who carries healing. And what you have surrendered will become the very soil that nourishes harvests far greater than you ever dared to imagine. You are not forgotten. That moment when you forgave without anyone knowing, when you refused to repeat the cycle of pain, became a landmark on the map of the Spirit. It was a declaration that mercy is still alive, and that I, the one full of compassion, am still moving powerfully through hearts that choose to obey even in silence. You may not realize it, but every small act you have quietly carried out has touched my heart in ways that even the songs of heaven cannot fully express. While the world praises grand achievements and celebrated names, I, the one who sees all, have been watching each humble step you take, every silent word of comfort you give, every time you place others above yourself without seeking recognition. The things you consider ordinary, even insignificant, have become sacred markers on the map of eternity. There have been moments when you could have waited for acknowledgement, when you could have withheld your prayers until someone thanked you. You could have withdrawn, retreating when kindness went unnoticed, but you did not. You chose to keep giving, to keep loving, to keep helping, not for a reward, but because you knew it was right, and because the love I placed in your heart was greater than any expectation of return. You chose to let my light shine through you, even when no one praised or applauded. And that is true glory. I saw when you smiled at a stranger in the rush of life just to warm a cold day in their soul. I saw when you extended your hand to help even when you yourself were weary. I witnessed when you stepped into tense, unstable situations and brought peace, not through eloquent words but through a steady, quiet presence, like a safe harbor for storm-tossed hearts. These things cannot be counted by human measure, but I have recorded them all, every single one, every drop of sacrifice. You have lived as a bearer of light in the night, yet never called yourself the lamp. You have not sought a stage, nor the recognition of people. What you sought was my presence, and you have allowed me to flow through you by living faithfully each day. Cries for help that went unheard by others have reached your ears, and you have responded. No one compelled you. No one demanded it. Only love, pure love, unassuming love, yet strong as the hidden currents beneath the ocean's surface. I know there have been days when you were exhausted, when you felt you had no strength left to lift another, and yet you still chose to do it. Not because you were stronger than others, but because you learned to draw from the strength that comes from me. You set yourself aside to serve not just once, but again and again. You have lived as a reflection of heaven's kindness, even when you were in the midst of your own trials. And in those very moments you became a refuge for others, not with a roof overhead, but with a heart that knew how to love. You do not chase glory. You do not keep count of how many times you have helped. But heaven has counted, heaven has recorded. Every time you quietly stood beside someone in their pain, every time you prayed for someone in secret, every time you chose to listen when another only wanted to be understood, I was there. And I was deeply moved, for I know the cost of silent devotion is great in a world that only applauds what is loud. You do not need to wear a sign that says, "A great person." I call you by name, a name written in the book of life, not because of the grand deeds you have done, but because of the way you have lived faithfully each day in silence. You have nothing to prove. The very fact that you continue to live with kindness, even when no one sees or appreciates it, is already a radiant testimony to the transformation the Holy Spirit has wrought in you. You are living proof that love does not need an echo to spread. You are a living illustration that true obedience requires no reward, only the assurance that I am pleased. And you are the instrument I trust to reach fragile hearts, to heal unnamed wounds, to illuminate the path for those who have lost their way. You have sown yourself like a seed into the ground, unseen, unknown, but the harvest is coming. I have seen every silent tear that fell when you endured misunderstanding, when your kindness was overlooked, when your sacrifices went unreturned, and I promise you none of it will be forgotten. I will turn it all into a great harvest, not only of what you need, but also of what you never imagined. You are not living in vain. You are not abandoned in obscurity. On the contrary, you are building a spiritual foundation that no storm can destroy, and the things you do today in quiet will become a resounding voice guiding generations to come. I will use every act of love you offer to awaken sleeping hearts, to remind the world that hope remains light, remains love, remains, and you are the one carrying all of that day by day. Take heart. What you do in secret will be repaid by me openly. What you have sacrificed in stillness will resound louder than any applause, and the reward you receive will not be fleeting praise but eternal joy when I look at you and say, "You have lived exactly as I desired. You have pleased me." That is the true glory. That is the true purpose. And you are living it every day, every hour, through your silent yet powerful devotion. My beloved, this is the moment when the things I promised long ago begin to unfold before your eyes, not in haste or by chance, but little by little, in a sacred, precise, and complete way. Doors that once seemed forever closed, paths you never dreamed you would walk, are opening not by strength or fame, but by the humble faithfulness you have carried all this time. You do not seek glory. You do not cry out for reward. Yet that very quietness resounds mightily in heaven. And I, the one who never forgets, am answering by revealing what I have long prepared for you, things beyond thought, beyond prayer, and far above what the human heart can imagine. Not because you demanded or knocked without ceasing, but because your steadfast silence has become the key that unlocks the way. Every unseen intercession, every act of kindness you offered when you had little left to give, every time you chose forgiveness over holding on to the wound, these are all sacred seeds you have quietly sown. And now I am bringing the harvest, not a harvest of display, but a harvest of fullness, where you will see that nothing you have ever given in love was wasted. I know you never sought anything for yourself. You helped others out of compassion. You forgave because of love. You lifted others in silence because you believed that was what I desired. But let me tell you, this obedience that does not demand a reward is the most precious kind of obedience. And that very obedience has moved the heavens. I have not allowed a single tear of yours to fall in vain. Not one act of kindness you've done has vanished into nothingness. All are being poured into the cup of blessing I am now emptying over your life right here in the season you are entering. You may not clearly see it with your natural eyes, but in the spiritual realm, the miraculous is already in motion. I am opening doors no one can shut. Not because of your effort, but because of my gift to the steadfast heart you have kept. You have laid down what others would cling to. You have not shouted to protect your reputation. You have chosen silence when you could have defended yourself. And I, the one who sees in secret, am preparing to reveal what has long been hidden in my heart for you. You have upheld those who were on the verge of collapse, even while you battled struggles no one knew. You have stood firm while your soul bore storms within, and you have asked for nothing. You have sought no praise, desired no repayment. Yet it is for this reason I call you worthy. Not worthy by the standards of the world, but worthy as heaven sees an untainted heart, an unshaken faith, an unyielding love. I will lift up everything you have humbly laid down, the dreams you dared to return to me, the unnamed sacrifices you chose to keep hidden, the blessings you spoke over others when you yourself needed blessing the most. All that you have ever done out of love will become the foundation upon which I will build something greater, something eternal in your life. You are not forgotten, not left behind. On the contrary, you are being led into a season where your faithfulness will blossom in the light I give. The fullness I bestow on you is unlike the fleeting rewards of men. It will not arrive with loud applause or dazzling stage lights. It will come like steady rain upon the ground you have quietly tilled. It will come like the sunrise after a long night. It is not merely a response. It is the affirmation that you have lived in alignment with my will. And believe this, I will never let your obedience born of love be in vain. I am not indifferent. I am faithful. I remember every tear-stained whisper, every small act done in obscurity, every decision you made from kindness instead of anger. From these very things I will shape a harvest you will not have to fight for and will never have to fear losing. For what I give will remain. What I open will not close. What I place in your hands cannot be stolen by anything in this world. So prepare your heart to receive. Do not think yourself too small to step into something great. Do not doubt whether you are worthy enough. It is your humility that makes you the place I choose to pour out my blessing. And your endurance, even without applause, even unseen, has been counted by me as more precious than pure gold. Now the doors will open not because you have forced them, but because I have appointed the time. And that time is now. The declaration comes not to exalt a person, but to reveal my glory through your life. You will see that every small thing you once laid down will return to you, not as a single seed, but as a golden field, ready for harvest. So do not doubt when I begin to lift you up in the very place where you were once overlooked. Do not be surprised when I position you to influence others with the very gentleness and sincerity you have carried in silence. This is not the reward for a brief journey. It is the affirmation of a life that has chosen to love, to remain faithful, and to choose me, even when no one saw, no one praised. I am doing this, and I do it not as payment, but to show that a truly surrendered heart will never be forgotten. You are living proof of this. And now be ready to step into all that I have prepared, not by your striving, but by my unchanging faithfulness. For I love you. And because I see all that the world will never notice in you, my beloved, I know every experience that has cut through your heart like a blade into its deepest place. There were days when you gave your whole heart only to be met with silence. The gestures of love, the sincere acts you extended hoping for a warm response, were met instead with coldness and indifference. You have loved without expecting love in return. You have forgiven when no apology was spoken. You have opened your heart to those who remained guarded and distant. And though you had every reason to close off, you did not. You could have stopped trusting. You could have built walls so high that no one could hurt you again. But you did not. Instead, you chose to keep loving, not because it was easy, but because love had become woven into the very fabric of your being. It was not merely a decision. It was your nature forged from my own life within you. I have sown myself into your heart, and that seed, though it has endured drought, has refused to die. You have known what it is to feel alone in a crowd when the affection you poured out seemed to vanish into the air without an echo. Some of those you cherished the most were the very ones who wounded you the deepest. You have wondered if your love was in vain, if kindness was truly valued. Yet without answers, you kept going. You refused to let wounds harden you. You would not allow the darkness to extinguish the light within you. And that, yes, that is the greatest victory in my eyes. I have seen every time you swallowed your tears, forced a smile, and kept sowing seeds of love into the barren soil of human hearts. You did not love to be loved back. You loved because within you flows an unending stream. Each time you chose not to repay injury, with injury each time you refused to sow bitterness, my light shone more brightly through you. The love you give is not in vain, my child. Even when it is unseen or unacknowledged, it is accomplishing great things in eternity. The things you thought were small are breaking invisible chains in the hearts of others. Love does not need applause. It only requires faithfulness. And you have lived it every day in quietness, in sincerity, without condition. Know this: every tear you have shed in your pain has never been wasted. I have gathered each drop, each ache, each moment you chose to love instead of hate, every one of them kept within my heart. I remember the times you placed your hand over your chest, swallowing the hurt so no bitter word would escape your lips. I remember the gentle look you gave to the one who wounded you. I remember the prayers you offered not for yourself, but for those who never once expressed gratitude toward you. And I promise you, none of these will fade into oblivion. No love that comes from me is ever without meaning. Even when the world fails to acknowledge it, I see it, and I will reward it not in the way of the world, but in the way of heaven, deep, complete, and eternal. What you have sown with tears, you will reap with joy. What you have given in silence will return to you in an unexpected way, not necessarily from the hands you once helped, but perhaps through another door that I will open. You have not allowed your heart to grow hard, and that sets you apart. In a world barren with calculation, you have chosen to remain a flowing river. In an age that glorifies revenge, you have chosen forgiveness. In a society that exalts selfishness, you have chosen to love without demand, and that, my beloved, is my own reflection in you, clear, authentic, and majestic. Do not let the silence of others cause you to doubt your worth. Do not let the indifference of the world overshadow the reward of heaven. What you do today in faith and love will become a spiritual inheritance for the days to come. People may forget, but I do not. People may remain silent, but I am writing your name in the pages of eternity. My beloved, open your heart to receive this beautiful and hope-filled truth. What you once gave in secrecy, what you once sowed in affection, without expecting return, will come back to you. But not in the way you once knew. Not from the same people, those who failed to recognize the worth of your heart, not through the paths you have walked before. It will come in an entirely new way through roads I have set before you, so you may see that nothing you have done in love has ever been forgotten. I will bring love back to you, a love that is whole-healed and given with understanding and honor. It will no longer be the one-sided affection that drained you. It will be relationships that nourish your soul, uplift your spirit, and bring you a peace you once could only imagine. I will send you new people not to replace anyone, but to prove that I have never stopped caring for your heart. Their presence will be like a gentle breeze blowing across land, long forgotten, stirring life again, in places you thought had withered away. What you have done has never been meaningless, even when it went unanswered at the time. Every moment you chose kindness, every time you gave a piece of yourself without holding anything back, I have seen it all. And now I am not rewarding you as a hired servant, but confirming you as a companion in my plan. My giving love back to you is not only to comfort your past, but to declare a new season, a time of restoration, of rightful response, and of connections fashioned by my own hands. You have loved when no one loved you back. You have remained patient when others walked away. You have cared when there was no gratitude. These acts did not merely reveal the strength of your heart, they have trained it to carry the weight of true love when it arrives. Like a farmer who diligently sows even without seeing rain, you have sown in faith, and that faith has opened the door to the abundant harvest you are about to enter. The love you once lacked has not made you selfish, but has made you more generous. And now abundance will be the very thing you learn to receive. Be ready. For the new season is not merely approaching, it has already begun. And in this season, you will no longer be only the one who gives, but also the one who knows how to receive steadily, fully, and with gratitude. For now you do not love out of fear of losing. You love because you know you have been chosen to love and to be loved in return in the light of a heart that has been healed, guided, and blessed by me. My beloved, there are moments in your life when all of heaven grows silent just to watch, not because you are doing something dazzling, but because you have chosen to stand still in the midst of the whirlwind of urgent, pressing, and forceful calls. I have seen you when every gaze around you urged you to act quickly, while the world celebrates swift progress, timely decisions, and sees it. Now strategies you, my faithful one, did not throw yourself into that current. It was not because you lacked options. You could have taken shorter, easier roads. You could have grasped what seemed perfectly timed without ever asking me. But you did not. You waited. You stayed silent amid the noise. You kept your heart awake on days when others hurried ahead because you did not want to choose what I had not spoken. That moved me more deeply than any loud prayer. For in a world that prizes instant results, you chose faith, a faith both steadfast and humble. Your waiting was not a sign of weakness. It was the proof of a soul that has matured. You did not stand still because you did not know what to do, but because you had learned what matters more, not arriving first, but stepping at the time I have appointed. You refused to follow the crowd even when it meant being misunderstood. You turned away from enticing invitations, even when they arrived at just the right time and seemed to meet your needs. And because of this, you have not lost yourself in the race of the world. I have seen your tears fall in silence when your heart was restless, when your soul wrestled with the question, when will it be my turn? Yet instead of letting restlessness take control, you brought it under surrender. You placed it in my hands. You did not open the door yourself, but patiently remained where I had set you, waiting until I turned the key myself. That is the mark of one whom I am training to receive far greater things than what they have been asking for. While others cling to fragile strands of hope to feel safe, you have refused to stake your life on anything that does not bear my confirmation. That has not been easy, I know. Yet you have done it. And in doing so, you have grown not only in understanding, but in the capacity to steward what I am preparing. What I have planned for you will require not just eagerness, but a heart forged through waiting. A waiting that is not passive, but active in prayer, in trust, in resting in me. You have not stood still in fear. You have stood still in trust, and that makes you different. When others measure success by speed and fleeting achievements, you measure it by faithfulness. When others chase what they call opportunity, you walk by timing, heaven's timing. No one has taught you this except my Spirit. No one has helped you endure those heavy silences except my hand upholding you. And because you have trusted me now, I will show you that your waiting has never been in vain. Each moment you refused to step outside my will, each second you reminded your heart, wait a little longer, for the Lord has not yet spoken, was another stone laid in the firm spiritual foundation of your life. You may not realize it, but in that waiting you have been reshaped. You have learned to listen not merely with your outer ears, but with the ears of your heart. You have learned to discern my voice among countless others. And because of this, you will not be deceived by what is false. You will not mistake a blinding light for the true light. I have not overlooked your endurance. I have remembered every time you set aside your own needs in order to keep your surrender whole. I have seen the moments you said no to what looked good, so you could wait for the better, the one from my very hand. And now I will show you why you had to wait. You will see that what I give is not merely enough, it is abundant. Not merely right, but beautiful. Not merely arriving, but arriving at the right time in the right way and with the right people. You have not been forgotten. I have not made you wait to punish you, but to protect you from what is unripe. You are not delayed. You are walking in step with me, and that pace, though slower than the world's will, lead you exactly to the place where your destiny awaits. You will see that what I have prepared cannot be mass-produced. It is tailored uniquely for you. Every door I open will fit your stride perfectly. Every change I bring will align flawlessly with the person you have become. And what you once felt was delay was, in truth, the time necessary for you to be able to step in without stumbling from immaturity. Do not regret what you did not choose. Do not torment yourself over the opportunities you let pass by. For I do not build your life on chance, I build it on calling. And calling does not arrive hastily. It comes quietly when your heart is ready, when your mind is steady, and when your faith has taken deep root. Now, as the new season comes, you will realize not a single moment of that waiting was wasted. Every hardship you endured, every inner wrestle when others seemed to advance while you stood still was part of the refining plan. And that is what sets you apart. You have not rushed, you have been prepared. And when what I have promised begins to take shape, you will not enter with the fear of losing it. You will enter with peace, because you know it did not come from you but from me. And what comes from me no one can take away. You waited not because you were forced to, but because you believed. And now I tell you this, you believed rightly. You chose rightly. And what I am about to open for you will be worthy of every silent moment you endured when no one understood and no one applauded except me. My beloved, in those hidden days when everything seemed still and unmoving, you remained in place, without retreat, without turning aside, without chasing the hurried calls of the world. You did not let the voices of others or the lure of quick success and instant results shake your stance. Even under pressure, even when your own heart wavered for a moment, you did not change your posture. You stood not by your own strength, but by faith anchored in me. You did more than stand still. You placed your entire timeline, your dreams, your longings, your unfulfilled plans into my hands. You did not seize control, but surrendered fully. You chose not to race against time, but to trust that I, the Lord of all seasons, will never be late. And that very surrender, that choice to trust in the midst of uncertainty, has become a priceless seed planted deep into the soil of hope. To human eyes, that seed may seem buried unseen. At times, you may have felt you were missing out, being left behind. But the truth is, it has never been forgotten in my sight. For while you thought you were standing still, I was moving carefully, quietly, and powerfully, not only around you, but within you. You do not realize it, but every moment you have waited in trust has become the place where I began to stir something far deeper than you ever expected. I have not allowed your waiting to be in vain. On the contrary, I have used it as a refining furnace to burn away the old, to filter out the excess, to purify what is truly precious within your soul. While you were patiently waiting for me, I was patiently preparing you. I have been training in you the ability to discern a kind of discernment that does not come from experience, but from closeness to me. I have taught you to recognize what is from the Holy Spirit, what is from emotion, what is a true calling, and what is merely an echo. I have made your spirit sensitive so that when what I have promised appears, you will not mistake it, you will not doubt, and you will not hesitate. You will know, this is what I prayed for, not because it is loud, but because your spirit has been trained to recognize the signs of truth. While you were in the waiting place, I have done even more. I have touched the hidden desires deep within you, those that may have seemed pure yet still carried traces of self-interest. I have refined them not to take them away, but to cleanse them so that you will not only desire what is good, but desire it in the right way. So that when you step into fulfillment, your heart will not be weighed down by pride or possession. You will not need to prove anything at all. For what comes from me will carry peace, not pressure. It will set you free, not confine you. I see the world around you moving in a frenzy. People rush to chase opportunities, blindly running after alluring calls. Many imagine that they are advancing forward. They believe that moving faster means getting closer to the goal. But the truth is, this speed does not equal progress. Not everyone who moves is truly going somewhere. Many are simply spinning in circles within their own ambition, driving themselves into exhaustion without realizing it. You are different. You do not choose the easy path. You do not demand the shortest road. You choose the path with me. Even if it seems slow, it is certain. You do not just want to go, you want to go right. And that in my eyes is worth more than silver or gold. For I do not only look for those who can act, but for those who know how to surrender. Not everyone who accomplishes great things has a great heart, but the one who can remain still without losing faith, that is the one I can trust with great things. You have not allowed the waiting to dry out your heart. You have remained tender, continued to love, continued to pray, continued to worship. Even without clear signs, you have held tightly to faith. Even before the promise has taken shape, you have lived as if it is near. You have not let time erode hope, but have let time become the fertilizer for the roots of your faith to grow deeper. And because you have kept that posture without arrogance, without despair, without haste, I will give you what is right on time. And you will know that it did not come from luck, but from endurance. Not from recklessness, but from guidance. Not from grasping, but from assurance. When the season comes, you will not have to chase it. What I have promised will come running to you, and you will not be confused. You will receive it with a steadfast heart, because you will know you have been prepared not only to possess it, but to keep it, not only to enjoy the blessing, but to steward it in a way that glorifies me. You will see that the days which seemed like delays were in fact the time I was tilling the soil. The nights you thought I was silent were the very hours I was speaking to your soul in the deepest way. And the seasons of waiting, no matter how long, no matter how weary, were the seasons in which I rewrote the very definition of success in your heart, so that when the appointed thing arrives, you will neither be overwhelmed nor hold it with fear. You will stand in freedom and declare, "This is the portion given to me," not because I was skilled, but because I believed. Therefore, my child, keep your heart steadfast. Continue to stand firm. Keep walking to the rhythm I am setting for you, though it may be different from others, though it may seem slower, for I am never late. I arrive only when all has been perfectly prepared, both what is outside of you and what is within you. And now everything is drawing near. Hold steady, for the harvest is not far away. What you have patiently awaited in faith will come like a quiet river, yet abundant, refreshing, and carrying new life to everything you thought had withered. And in that moment you will know every second you waited, every tear you shed, every choice to refuse what was rushed was worth it. Do you realize that what I am bringing you into right now, the doors I am about to open, the responsibilities I am about to entrust, the relationships I am forming, are all precisely timed for this very moment? Not earlier, not later. For if they had come too soon, when your heart was not yet firmly grounded, when your mind was still easily swayed by hurried invitations, then instead of being blessings, they could have become burdens too heavy for you to bear. I am not slow, nor have I forgotten you. But I am the one who knows every season, and I know exactly when you are ready to carry the glory I have ordained for you. Just as a potter cannot place clay in the kiln while it is still wet, I cannot hand you something great when your faith is still unsteady, when your emotions are still easily shaken by rejection, when your heart still longs for recognition more than for my presence. I have patiently led you through every step, never letting you leap ahead before your roots have deepened. I have allowed you to walk through seasons of barrenness, through roads rarely traveled, so that you might learn to hear my voice apart from the crowd, to trust me without visible proof. And it is precisely those hidden years, those seemingly meaningless weights, that have trained you to carry what is coming, not with fear, but with steadfastness. Now, because you have waited in trust, your soul has been aligned to match perfectly with my flow. You no longer need to strive to match the pace of others. You are no longer measured by the success of someone ahead of you, for you know well that the journey you are living is not a replica, not a comparison, not a race. It is a unique design written by my own hand, meant solely for you, where every detail reflects the particular love I have for your soul. Let your heart be light. Release the urge to be like someone else, to measure up, to catch up with anything. The truth is, no one can walk your journey for you, and you are not called to retrace the footsteps of anyone else. What I am doing in your life is something never before seen. It cannot be confined to the standards of the world. It cannot be measured by another's timeline. For you were not chosen to be like them, you were chosen to reflect me in a way that only you can. What you are about to step into is the result of a long and refining process, a process that only you and I truly know in its entirety. No one has seen the times you wept in silence, the nights you knelt alone pleading with me to keep your heart from collapsing. No one has counted the moments you refused to step out of the place of waiting, even when everything within you longed to move. But I have seen, and because I know I did not allow the glory to arrive too soon lest it harm you, I waited until your heart was deep enough to hold what I would give, and that time has now come. I am building an environment for you, not the most comfortable one, but the most precise one, so that you may grow exactly as I have designed. It is a place where your faith is tested but not crushed, where your patience continues to mature through the small daily decisions you make. It is where you will learn that true worth does not come from what you can display, but from what you faithfully guard when no one is watching. In that place, I am shaping you into someone I can trust to carry authority, not the power to control, but the influence to build, not fame, but the anointing to heal. You will no longer need to prove anything, for it is I who will validate you. When you step into the place I have prepared, your very presence will speak louder than words. The light within you, not born from striving but from inner wholeness, will cause others to recognize that there is something in you beyond human ability, and that is my mark, the evidence of my presence in your life. No one can counterfeit it. So, my beloved, rest in this truth: nothing is out of time when you are in my hands. The things you thought were delays are in fact being crafted with the utmost precision. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right in the midst of the current I have designed specifically for you. And this current does not require you to struggle against it. It only asks that you keep moving step by step with the confidence that I am leading. Remember this: when I prepare something great, I do not only prepare the circumstances, I prepare you. For what I desire is not merely to give good things to you, but to make you into someone who can hold them well. I care more about you than the plan. I prioritize your heart over the schedule. And because I want your life preserved, not just momentarily successful, but enduringly steadfast, I will not entrust you with anything until you are deep enough to hold it, wide enough to share it, and mature enough not to lose yourself in it. Now you are more ready than ever before, not because you feel ready, but because I have seen in you what I needed to see. Expectation has not worn you down. It has softened your heart. Waiting has not extinguished your faith. It has made it burn brighter in the dark. Silence has not distanced you. It has drawn you deeper into seeking me. These are the marks that show you are not just someone who endured time, but someone who was transformed by it. Lift up your eyes. The season I promised is coming, but it is not only the season, it is you yourself who are now ready. And from this point on, you will see every tear, every moment of waiting, every refusal of the easy path, none of it was wasted. For what I have done in you before doing through you will keep you steady when the glory is revealed. That is something only I could prepare perfectly. And you, yes, you are the living proof of a heavenly process, a journey of being loved, shaped, and sent. Now step forward, not in haste, but in assurance. For the time I have chosen is perfect. And you are the one I have chosen for this very moment. My beloved child, what moves me most deeply is not the fervent prayers you lift when you are in need, but the posture of gratitude you keep steadfast in your heart, even when the request has not yet been answered, even when what you hope for has not yet appeared. I do not only hear your voice when you rejoice, I quietly watch each time you lift your head in the midst of seasons you do not understand and still say, I thank you. That is the kind of worship that causes all of heaven to grow silent. It is the kind of faith that cannot be shaken by circumstances because it is not built on what can be seen but on the sacred bond between you and me. I can pour out greater things upon you not simply because you ask, but because your heart has already proven that you can carry them. I do not need to wait until you speak words of thanks, for I have already seen you. Thank me by the way you live, when you continue to love through pain, when you choose faithfulness in confusion, when you bow in silence without losing hope. In those moments you are speaking to me with your whole soul, saying, I am still grateful. I still trust you. This gratitude, not bound to outcomes, creates space for me to give you more than you could ever imagine. For you have not waited until everything appears good to call it a blessing. You have learned that my presence alone is the fullness of blessing, and that is what prepares you not just to receive the blessing but to keep it, not just to live in abundance, but to become a channel through which blessing flows into dry places. So do not stop. Do not cease to worship simply because you cannot yet see with your eyes. Do not let my temporary silence make you question my eternal goodness. Continue to enter the secret place not to demand, but to offer your whole heart. For in the very moment you see nothing clearly, yet still choose to praise, that is when your worship resounds the loudest, not because of its volume, but because it springs from the deepest place of faith, where nothing holds you except the conviction that I am good no matter what is happening. You see, it is in your most tangled moments, when the weight of emotion presses down and reason finds no answer, yet you still lift your hands, that your worship breaks invisible chains. It not only moves my heart, but it shakes the kingdom of darkness. For the enemy is always waiting for you to lose heart, always hoping you will close your heart. But when you refuse, when you choose to rise, open your mouth and declare, "Blessed be your name," even when I do not understand, in that very moment, you defeat the enemy, not by force but by worship. This is the kind of worship stronger than any song, deeper than any promise, truer than any ritual. It is the living testimony that you belong to me, not because of what I can do for you, but because I am enough for you, even if nothing else remains. And when your heart stands firm on that foundation, I know you do not love me merely for blessing, but for my presence, not merely for ease, but for holiness, not merely for miracles, but for the very relationship we share. My child, continue to worship me like this, without conditions, without bargains, without limits set by circumstances. For such worship not only transforms you, it also opens the gates for my powerful intervention. When you worship in the storm, I will step into the storm with you. When you offer praise in the drought, I will cause the desert to bloom. When you set your trust in me while everything else shakes, I will make your foundation unshakable. Do not think that I do not see the times you choose to sing with a heavy heart. Do not assume I am unaware of the moments you give thanks through tears. Even a single sigh carrying faith is kept by me. I am not seeking perfection in your voice. I am seeking truth in your heart. And when you worship with all that you are, in the truest moments, that is when heaven opens. You are awakening something powerful in the spiritual realm. You are not only drawing blessing toward yourself, you are driving back darkness from the places it once occupied. Each time you praise me, not because you feel like it, but because you know I am worthy, you are stepping into the depths of spiritual maturity. And I am using that worship as a strategy to push back darkness not only from you but from your family, your land, and your generation. Continue to step into worship even when you have every reason to remain silent. For it is in the very tension between what you see and what you believe that my glory is revealed most fully. You do not worship to become worthy of a blessing. You worship because you have been chosen, because you have been redeemed, because you know that nothing, not even circumstances, can separate you from my love. You have lived this out, offering your whole heart not for an immediate return, but because you know I am the one who never breaks a promise. And because you have lived this way, you will step into a season where my presence will no longer feel distant. It will be a season in which you do not wait for a miracle to occur before you are a testimony, for your life itself will be the evidence of a miracle, a life that chooses to worship even when nothing makes sense. I am calling you deeper, not to exchange pain for a reward, but so you may see that in the very act of worshiping through the shadows, you are being transformed into my image, radiant, authentic, strong, and unquenchable. My beloved, there are turning points in life that are not heralded by blaring trumpets or skies filled with banners, but are marked instead by an inner stillness, the silence of a soul choosing to hold fast to what is right amidst sweet, yet dangerous invitations. What I am leading you toward is not merely the logical outcome of your past, but a clear testimony that your quiet, steadfast faith has laid the foundation for a transformation that cannot be shaken. This will be a defining milestone in your life, not because of its grandeur, but because you will realize that I have walked with you through each seemingly unseen choice. Everything is beginning not from great public victories, but from the unseen moments when you walked forward without an audience, from the decisions only you and I knew about, from the times you received no applause, no recognition, yet still chose what was right. You did not choose the easy path. You refused to trade holiness for comfort. You did not nod in agreement to shortcuts even when your heart longed for rest. And those very things, those small hidden acts, have moved heaven. I know there have been times when you felt as if you were walking through a fog, unable to see the road ahead. Moments when you could not clearly discern what would come next, when every door before you seemed blurred, when each choice appeared reasonable, and all it would take was one step to enter something that seemed right. But instead of rushing toward that lure, you stopped, not out of fear, but because your heart was unsettled. I witnessed each moment you stood still, not because there was no opportunity, but because something within you, something I planted, whispered, "Wait." Compromise does not always knock on the door with a fierce face. Sometimes it arrives dressed as ease, as the promise of a quick escape, or as acceptance in the eyes of others. But you, my faithful one, recognized that not every open door comes from me. You understood that some things may appear to be miracles, but if they require you to sacrifice integrity in your spirit, then they are not from the true one. And in that moment when the world seemed silent, I spoke within you, and you listened. I saw you choose to release what seemed good in order to wait for what comes from me. No one applauded that choice. No one understood how deeply that surrender pierced your heart. But I knew. I saw. And I call it true faith obedience, unconditioned by reward trust without demand for proof. That choice became the beginning of the wonder you are about to enter. What lies ahead will not be merely fine or good enough. It will bear a divine mark. It will be remembered as the milestone that shows I came and gave abundantly to my faithful one, not because you did everything flawlessly, but because in each step you chose to keep your heart steadfast. I do not choose the perfect, I choose the faithful, and you have been that one. Some may say, if it were me, I would have taken that opportunity. But they do not realize that in grasping that appealing path, you would have had to compromise what you knew to be true. And you could not do that not because you are more virtuous than others, but because your heart knows that what I promise is always worth waiting for, even if it is late, even if it is slow, even if it takes the long way around. If it comes from me, it will be complete, enduring, and will never cost you yourself. I saw you in those moments when you remained silent, yet your heart roared within. When you turned down what seemed like an opportunity, even though every part of you longed to walk through that door. When you turned your back on what everyone else chose, simply because a quiet voice within whispered, "Not now, not this door." And I recorded each of those moments, not in ink, but in unchanging love. Never think that silent decisions hold no weight. They are the evidence of a heart that has been tested, of a faith that has matured, of a life I am using to build something greater. You are not slow. You are not missing out. You are right on course because you have allowed me to lead. And now, because you stood firm when the easy path beckoned, I will bring you into a season where heaven's confirmation will be clearer than ever before. Every refusal in the past will stand as proof that you built your foundation upon solid rock. And when what I promised arrives, you will feel no regret for having turned away from shortcuts. Instead, you will breathe in relief, knowing that if you had stepped wrongly back, then you would not have had the strength to hold what I am about to give. My beloved, the heart you carry holds immeasurable worth, not only because it is the dwelling place of my presence, but because it is the living center where sacred things are guarded, nurtured, and poured out. To the world, the heart may be merely the birthplace of emotions, but to me, it is the vessel of revelation, the wellspring of calling, the place where I engrave my most hidden promises. And when you choose to guard it, not with the shell of self-defense, but with the courage to trust me, you are speaking to me without words, declaring that you would rather keep your heart pure than trade it for the satisfaction of self. I have watched every beat, every time it broke in silence, every moment it was rejected, wounded, misunderstood, yet still steadfast in refusing bitterness a foothold. I have seen the trembling when you wanted to give up, to shut down because of being trampled too many times, yet you rose again, opened again, and invited me in to heal. You have not let the scratches harden your heart. You have not allowed the pain to distort love. You have stood on the fragile line between self-protection and shattering, and instead of retreating, you moved forward with faith, with loyalty, with the hope that what is sacred between you and me is worth more than anything else out there. That is what shows me your heart is not stolen by what comes easily, nor manipulated by sweet words that quickly fade. It does not close because of hurt, but learns to open with discernment. Not out of naivety, but because you know I alone am worthy of your complete trust. When you guard your heart, you are not being hardened, you are being wise. You are not running from affection, you are clearing that sacred space, so that only what truly comes from me may dwell there, and that for me is an act of worship more beautiful than any song, greater than any ministry. It is a silent, yet unshakable declaration: I choose what is eternal over what is fleeting. I choose relationship with you over passing feelings. I choose to keep my heart for the one who made it. You may not realize it, but it is that repeated choice. The choice to love me over comfort, to choose wholeness over allure, to choose depth over surface, that moves me more than any prayer you could speak. For when you keep your heart free from calculation, unpolluted by impure motives, you are preserving the priceless vessel. I designed the very vessel I will fill with new oil, send forth to bring healing, and make my dwelling place for holy purposes. Your heart is where I entrust what I do not give to the crowd. It is where I place private whispers, spiritual dreams, glimpses of what is to come, and only those who know how to guard their hearts can carry these things with honor. Because an unguarded heart can be easily warped by the expectations of others, broken by criticism, or shifted by the smallest compromise. Yet your heart, though tested many times, remains resilient toward me. It bears cracks but is not shattered. It has moments of weakness but does not surrender. And for that reason I call you safe, not because you have been spared pain, but because in the midst of it you have kept me first. When you choose to protect your heart from what seems right, yet lacks spiritual leading, you are telling me that you do not simply want to survive, you want to live rightly. When you refuse to let your heart be poisoned by either praise or criticism, you show that you are not building yourself on human validation, but on the authenticity that comes from me. And I call that maturity, not the maturity of one seasoned by the world, but the growth of a child in the kingdom, one who knows the value of their heart and knows who alone is worthy of its trust. Because you have proven your heart to be a safe dwelling for my presence, I will expand your role in my kingdom, not through loud displays, but through deep works. I will open the way for you to step into connections that heal, not relationships that take, but those that walk alongside. You will no longer have to trade your heart just to be close to someone. I will bring people who will not make you fight to keep your value, but who will strengthen the sacred within you. I will place in you an even sharper discernment to see what is false dressed in kindness and what is truth hidden in simplicity. Your heart will no longer tremble at rejection. It will no longer break beyond repair at loss, for it will have learned to recover in my presence, not in the approval of man. And when you walk with a whole heart, you will no longer need permission to be yourself. You will no longer shrink back to avoid making others uncomfortable. You will walk in freedom because you know your heart has been guarded, chosen, and sealed by the Holy Spirit. You need not fear that you are too tender, for it is in that intentional gentleness that I have placed my power. You need not worry that you are too sensitive, for that very sensitivity is the spiritual antenna that enables you to discern even the subtlest movements from me. Yet you have learned to place that sensitivity under my guidance rather than letting emotions take the lead. And this is what has made your heart a place of balance between feeling and conviction, a perfect foundation for me to reveal the deepest things. My child, continue to guard your heart, as you have been doing, not by locking it away, but by opening it to me first. Let me be the one who steps in whenever your heart wavers. Let me be the place you return to before you decide whom to trust. And if you do this, you will see your heart will no longer be a place of constant wounding, but a river of life flowing outward to others. I love your heart not only because it loves me, but because it chooses to love rightly. It chooses to guard what is precious. It chooses to stand in the light even when that means walking alone. And so I call you full, not because you lack nothing, but because you know how to put the most important thing first, and that is me. Be steadfast. Continue to protect this treasured vessel, for what I am about to pour into it will not only be healing for you, but life for those who long for something real in a world of deception. And I will use your heart to ignite an awakening not only for you, but for other hearts waiting to be touched. You are ready, and your heart is where I will begin. My beloved, I have watched every step you have taken, not only in moments of strength, but also in moments of weariness, when you dragged your feet across the driest lands of your soul. I have seen you walk through long days when the promise seemed far away, when hope flickered faintly in the night of trial. You did not try to paint your life with false colors. You did not pretend everything was fine. You did not deny what you felt. You acknowledged the pain, the emptiness, the fatigue of the long wait. You were honest with me, and I love that about you. But what moves me most deeply is not your lament, but the way you have refused to let circumstances define who I am. When everything in you trembled under pressure, when your senses screamed that I had stepped back, when every dream seemed to be unraveling, you still chose to hold on to the truth that I am good. You let faith speak when reason was silent. You let your soul remind you of what I had spoken, even when your eyes saw no evidence. This is the kind of faith that makes heaven bow low. It is trust that rests not on results, but on relationship. You did not wait for the ending to begin believing. You believed even when the road ahead was veiled in the fog of the unknown. You kept walking, though no one confirmed you were on the right path. You did not need to know exactly what was coming, because what you needed to know was that I was still walking with you, and that was enough. I know there are moments when your heart feels heavy. I have seen the nights when you stare at the ceiling and whisper to me, when yet, instead of retreating, you murmur, I still believe. You do not deny your emotions, but neither do you hand them the authority. You allow them to be felt, and then you hand them to me. And that reveals a heart that has matured, not relying on quick miracles, but resting in enduring presence. When the breakthrough has not yet come, you still choose gratitude. Not because everything has gone your way, but because you understand that gratitude is not a natural reaction, but a spiritual choice. You have chosen to thank me not because of the outcome, but because my nature does not change. You have offered praise not as a strategy to obtain what you want, but as the response of a heart that trusts deeply. Whether you give or not, you are still worthy. It is this kind of faith, a faith that asks for no reason, that requires no guarantee, that moves me to my core. It is surrender without conditions. It is trust that transcends human sight. It is your way of telling me I believe in you, not because I see the future, but because I see you, the one who has walked with me through every season, the one who has never abandoned me, and the one whose love for me cannot be shaken. You do not need to see the ending to believe. You only need to see me, and you have seen me, not with your physical eyes, but with the eyes of the Spirit, and that has anchored you when everything else was shifting. When others left, when what you built crumbled, when the dreams you cherished seemed to vanish, you still did not lose your faith. For your faith was never built on what could change, but on the unchanging goodness of who I am. You have believed in something greater than yourself, not because you were certain it would arrive on your timetable, but because you trust the one who holds the times in his hand. You know I am neither hurried by clocks nor constrained by human plans. And so you have learned to live with open hands, to receive whatever I give, whenever and however I choose to give it. This is the deepest surrender. This is faith no longer bound to feelings or schedules, but anchored in my very nature. My beloved, this is why you are safe in me, not because you have always been strong, but because you have always chosen me, even in weakness. Because you have not allowed pain to redefine who I am to you. You are now entering a season in which I will reshape every experience you have walked through, not to erase them, but to bear witness that it was your steadfastness in the night that opened the way to a radiant dawn. I have not only seen your tears, I have recorded each one. Not a single drop has been meaningless. They are the evidence of a love that does not waver. They are the markings of a spiritual journey, not painted in vivid colors, but woven from the daily choices to believe, to keep walking, to love, to worship, even when nothing seemed reasonable. And because you have lived by that kind of faith, the kind that does not need light in order to move forward, I will now use you to be a light for others. They will look at you and see not only a survivor, but a living testimony of a soul that could not be defeated. They will recognize that there is a kind of faith strong enough to endure loss, steady enough to stand through trial, and genuine enough to need no defense, and you will be the embodiment of that truth. You do not need to succeed by human standards to be called faithful. You only need to keep doing what you have been doing, taking each step with resolve even when the path ahead is unclear. You only need to keep believing that I am at work even when everything around you claims that I am silent, and you only need to keep holding to this truth: I have never left you, I have never changed. And if I have begun a good work in you, I will bring it to completion. So, my child, keep your heart anchored in steadfastness. Let your faith, the kind that walks without seeing, become the key that opens doors others dare not approach. I have seen you. I have been with you. And now I will affirm you not only with words but with undeniable presence, with deep upholding, with unmistakable signs, that you have believed rightly, that you have stood firm, and that you will see the reward reserved for the one who did. Not retreat, even when surrounded by 1,000 reasons to do so. My beloved, the time has come for me to unveil what your heart has long believed but never yet seen. What I am about to give you will go far beyond anything you have dared to imagine. It will not only be a reward for your faithfulness, but a radiant confirmation of a faith that stood firm through the storm, of a heart unmoved by contrary winds, and of a soul that held on to the light even when darkness pressed in. You have believed me not because the circumstances were favorable, but because you know I am the unchanging one. You have lived by faith, and now you will see with your eyes what your soul has long known to be true. You have not waited for human approval to keep your faith. You have not needed agreement from others to keep walking. You have not required proof to obey. When all seemed silent, when you stood in the barren field of waiting, when the promise felt swept away by the wind, you kept your heart upright, your eyes fixed on me, and your lips lifted in praise. I have heard, I have seen. And now I will respond with an outpouring beyond measure, not because you have been flawless, but because you did not give up. Do you remember the long nights when your heart was surrounded by doubt, the moments when deception crept in like a thick fog, seeking to obscure the light within you? There were lies spoken not aloud but sharp as blades pressing into your soul. Whispered accusations rose behind you, as though each word was forged to shake your confidence in who you are. Prejudices not born of truth but from biased eyes were built like walls to hem you in. And the distortions about you, the unfounded interpretations, came like cold gusts, trying to slip through every crack in your weary heart. I know. I was there. In every moment that seemed as though you were struggling alone, I had never left your side. I was there in the weight of your breath, in the quiet tear that slipped down your cheek, in the whisper of your heart, saying, Lord, I do not understand, but I still believe. I heard you not through lengthy prayers, but through the silent surrender you offered in the midst of chaos. It was in your silence, when falsely accused, in your refusal to answer with bitterness, choosing instead the quiet born from trust that I would defend you. And now, my beloved, I will show you that nothing you have endured was in vain. The invisible burdens you carried in secret will now be lifted from your shoulders. The lies that sought to cover you will be exposed by my hand. My light will shine upon the shadows where truth was twisted. The reputation that was distorted in the mouths of others will be restored, not through your defense, but as I exalt you before those who once doubted you. Not through your justification, but by the confirmation from my own hand. You do not need to prove yourself. You do not need to run to clear your name. You need only to step into what I have prepared with a heart at peace, with humility, and with eyes fixed on me. The blessings that are coming are not mere gifts, but answers to every painful whisper within you. Every slander will be replaced by my blessing. Every hidden blow you endured will become a stone laid in the foundation of your next steadfast step. You chose to trust me instead of reacting to people. You chose to remain silent instead of speaking for yourself. And I, the one who sees all, will speak on your behalf, not with spectacle but with justice, not with wrath but with glory, not with burning anger but with healing oil poured over wounds that once bled. I know there were moments when you asked, can what is good truly be doubted? Can a pure heart truly be misunderstood? But my dear one, in a world steeped in deception, honesty can sometimes be mistaken for falsehood. In the place where you chose silence, others assign to you things you never thought of. But do not let such things steal the light within your soul. Do not let the darkness others spread dim the light I have placed in you. I do not need you to become something else to please them. I only need you to remain yourself, the one who bravely trusted me amidst accusations, who stood tall when honor was trampled, and who continued to love even when your heart bled. Now I will honor that, not in the way you expect, but in the way I have determined, in a way no one can deny, in a way that even those who doubted you will fall silent. I will lift you up, not so you can take revenge, but so you may stand as living proof of this truth. Those who trust in me will never be put to shame, and I will use your steadfastness to draw others out of darkness. You have walked through fire, and now you will step into the light. Step forward, my beloved. Nothing holds you back now. The chains of misunderstanding have been broken. The dust of lies has been washed away. Now I clothe you with a new garment, a garment of honor, a garment of affirmation, a garment for one whom I have called chosen, and set in a place of honor, not by the hands of men, but by my own. You are not only entering a new season, you are entering a new depth where you are no longer swayed by what is external, but are fully led by the truth within. Your heart has been trained. Your faith has been refined by fire. Your faithfulness has been proven. And I, the one who remembers what others forget, am now opening a door that only you can walk through. So lift your head, move forward with a light heart. What once weighed you down will hold no power over you. What once brought you to tears will now stand as evidence of what I am about to do. And you will see with the very eyes once wet with tears that what I have prepared is not only worthy, but far beyond your expectations. For you did not let the darkness define you, but allowed me to lead you through it. And now I will cause you to shine in this land as a light that cannot be hidden. For you have waited, you have believed, and you have loved rightly. And this reward, my faithful one, is now right before you. If these words touch your heart, click subscribe and turn on the notification bell to walk with us in each step of faith where God's word guides and His love leads every day. The Lord is with you. Amen.